Introducing the Balaguer Diablo DS7 Devon Scheidegger signature model. This guitar has a scale length of 26.5 inches with 24 stainless steel medium jumbo frets and a 16-inch radius, lumen lace side dots, and our comfy C neck profile with a silky oil and wax finish. Built for sonic supremacy, the DS7 features a mahogany body, solid flame maple cap, a 5-piece roasted maple and walnut bolt-on neck, and a pale moon ebony fretboard. The Diablo DS7 is equipped with a hipshot bridge and hipshot grip lock open gear tuners, a cauterizer humbucker in the bridge position, and a mashed single coil in the neck. A 3-way blade switch, and 1 volume with a push-pull to activate the coil tap. Loaded with nothing but high-end specs, this is a guitar you'll never want to put down.
Welcome to the Metal Mitten. Tonight we got founder, owner, and president of Balaguer Guitars, Joe Balaguer. I don't know too much about the guitar company, but I do know they're really popular right now. There's lots of bands on their roster that use their instruments, such as Syosin, Atreyu, Sleeping with Sirens, the Acacia Strain, 4 Years Strong. And I'm really interested to learn more about guitars. I love talking about guitars, so let's get in. Let's get into it. You guys like that terrible intro?
I'm ready to get into it.
Thank you. I took about 20 tries.
Joe, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out. How about you guys?
Same, man. Glad to have you on. I have to say, just with the intro alone, I want to pick your brain a little bit about Devon's guitar and just if you could maybe run us through maybe like a little bit of how your relationship started and the concept of the guitar, how much hands-on you were involved and
Yeah, sure. So Devin and I met really through mutual friends. Pat Sheridan from Fit for an Autopsy. Devin and I are both close friends with him. So I've always kind of known Devin by proxy through Pat. But it wasn't until I think his contract was ending with Ibanez and we had a few other artists that were on our roster at the time and still are that Devin knew, such as Andy Williams, back then of the band Every Time I Die, who Devin is also friends with. And yeah, it was just kind of like an organic, reached out and started a conversation. I believe we spec'd out a guitar or two together, and I brought them out to one of their local shows on one of the tours in Easton, Pennsylvania. Got to meet Devin in person, and we kind of hit it off from there. His newest signature guitar is, I think, the third iteration of guitars that we've kind of collaborated with Devin on over the years. The first guitar we collaborated on was our Tartarus body shape. And then Devin tried out the Typhon body shape, which is kind of like an Explorer style. And then most recently, which is the guitar from the intro, is our Diablo shape. And it really, I think, one of the main reasons why Devin and I ended up there with that body shape being his newest iteration of his signature guitar was uh, ease of touring and ease of kind of getting like an Enki case or any kind of like cases that would fit like a more normal shaped guitar.
Yeah.
And I think just being a more compact guitar, it's just has lent itself a bit more, I don't know, ergonomic for Devin. And I think just, over the years, your tastes change and your needs and wants in an instrument change. And it very much was a collaborative thing, as all the guitars are that we do with our artists. But Devin really had a lot of the ideas kind of set in his brain preemptively when we started talking about the newest guitar. He knew the type of finish. He's very knowledgeable about like wood choices and like what works for him and what doesn't. And yeah, it's Devin's great, not just as an artist, but he's also our artist relations manager at Balaguer Guitars. So when he's not, you know, playing his own guitars, he's also helping other people, get guitars from us and sign contracts and stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, the what was the I forgot. How do you the Explorer style one? What is that one called again?
it's called the Typhon, and then the one before that, which is more of like a X shape, we call that the Tartarus.
Okay. Yeah. Which one was the one with that was the H string? Was that the Tartarus or was that the
Yeah, so we did two eight strings for Devin over the years. There was it was like a purple and teal tiger stripe Tartarus. That was his first eight string we ever did. And then with the Typhon, which is like the Explorer style shape, we did an eight string. It was almost like a green to black burst over flame maple build for that one. So he's had two eights from us as far as his signature guitars over the years. But now, since then, he's moved back to sevens pretty exclusively.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, even just before you hopped on, Sean and I were talking, and we're like, when if you get a seven and an eight and you're running the same scale length on them, you can achieve those lower tunings either way, but it still does seem to come up with a little bit of a different sound regardless, a
Yeah.
little more snappy maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, when we did an eight string signature Typhon alongside the seven string, they were actually different, um, you know, different finishes, and there were a few other like little things that were slightly different about those guitars. But for the most part, they were pretty similar as far as everything else. Like the specs that most people care about, they were pretty similar, and that's why most recently on this Diablo, I think he actually went down half an inch on scale length. So the Diablo DS7, the most recent one, is a 26 and a half inch scale instead of a 27-inch scale. And as I'm sure you guys are probably aware, like a lot of their songs they can span anywhere from drop A flat to drop F or drop F sharp. Um, and the 26 and a half actually does really well with that. And he's not putting on super, super thick strings, but they're considerable. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I think that Diablo, like you were saying, as far as maybe more of a workhorse for his needs on tour too. But I think the overall flow of the guitar, uh, I can tell plays a big part in it too. Just um, not even the contour itself, but just I think it looks a little thinner too. Like it looks
for sure.
comfortable. I'm just looking at it. I can tell.
Yeah, it's a carved top, so there's a lot of ergonomic design and kind of where your arm falls onto the guitar. You're not kind of leaning it on like a sharp edge or anything like that. It's pretty contoured, and that was a conscious decision on Devin's part too when we were talking about the type of Diablo shape we wanted to do together because with that specific silhouette, that specific body shape that we offer, we can do it as like a flat top, a bevel top, and then a full on carved top, which is what Devin ended up going with, just because it's more comfortable.
Nice. And then you recently had something set up for NAM too, didn't you?
Yeah, we've been exhibiting at the NAM show going on 10 years now. And we have a booth there every year out in Anaheim, California. And yeah, Devin came out with us this year, which was great. Um, and yeah, it's always a good time. It's kind of, I don't know if either of you have ever been, but it's very overwhelming and kind of, it goes by faster than you think because
I've
it's,
always wanted to go, but no, I haven't been
oh,
there.
okay.
It looks cool. It looks really. I like watching the videos from like Abasi and
Mhm.
Charles Caswell and like everyone else that goes there. And one day, I keep telling myself, one day I'll get out there.
Yeah, for sure. It used to be 4 days, now it's only three, so it goes by even faster than you think. But yeah, would definitely recommend checking it out at least once because there's a lot to see.
Yeah, I picture it being, like you said, just so much. It's probably hard to fit it all in, honestly, and really
Mhm.
spend time at every, all the different vendors and
Yeah, no, you almost have to have a game plan going into every day. Like, okay, I know I want to see these 10 brands or these certain performances or things like that. Because even as an exhibitor, the little time I get outside of my own booth, I kind of have to do that if I know, like, okay, I know this brand just came out with a new amp, and selfishly, I want to get over there and check it out. And yeah, because I think pre-pandemic, NAM is kind of what people have been comparing the most recent NAM show to because they did the NAM show, I think, maybe once or twice. Uh, one like post pandemic, but it was still pretty early to do it. And then um, it just felt like there were a lot of vendors that weren't showing up just yet because there were still a lot of, kind of lock in or whatever it's called, stay in place, orders in different parts of the world. Um, but this past show felt just as busy as like NAM 2019. Like it was very, I would say easily like over 100,000 people attended. And yeah, so it's like a constant barrage of of people, which is a good thing if you're a business, but also, it's a lot.
yeah, I could see it would be hard for me, like just like you were saying, being an exhibitor and you're like, I want a day to just look around, you
Right,
know.
right.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
do they sell products there, or is it just like a display?
It's mostly just an exhibition of like products. So just like displaying new things for the new year. People do sell products like off the show floor. Like you can make deals on the show floor. You just can't actually, transfer currency or funds or anything technically on the show floor. So a lot of dealers and distributors that come by our booth, if they want to pick anything up, like we can say like, yeah, we'll put a tag on these few guitars or whatever, and we'll send you an email after the show and, invoice you offline kind of thing. Um, but it's mostly just to exhibit um, new products.
It's got to be pretty inspiring though, when you have um like-minded companies out there doing similar things and just seeing different inspiration, you know, to where you might be like, oh, I might not have done it that way, but that's really cool, or and just on a networking aspect, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest takeaways I get besides seeing a lot of friends in the industry that I've known for a while and meeting like new artists and new retailers and things like that, is, getting to step away for a little bit and see some new pickup releases and, bridge releases and part manufacturers, see what's going on in different parts of the world that may be unbeknownst to me. Like we just recently started looking into some other parts out of like Greece and a few other parts of the world that are doing some really cool guitar accessories and like bridges and pickups and things like that. So that's one of the most exciting things for me, is like there are a lot of really cool um, like ingenuity based, just like forward thinking technological advancements that a lot of people I think maybe miss at NAM, because they're going to see a lot of the big brands, they're going to see a lot of performances and things like that, and if you're not really like seeking out these other smaller boutique, sometimes not boutique but just smaller brands that are doing really cool stuff, and they're trying to like you know get their products out there, because everyone has to start somewhere.
Right.
uh, I love seeing stuff like that, because I feel like, when I started 10 years ago trying to do NAM, it's tough when you're going to an exhibition that there's booths that are,
Hmm.
40 by 40 feet, like huge displays and, hundreds of products and stuff. And you have your little stall of 5 by 5 or 10 by 10 or something,
Right.
um, showing your wares. But, yeah, no, it's cool. That show is just so all encompassing. It's kind of hard to kind of dilute it down to one thing. Like it's not just a guitar show. You can look at violin, saxophones, drums, pro audio, insurance agencies. Like it's wild. There's so much there.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That would you say like I guess so 10 years now, and is that now is 10 years, is that like from start of your company until now, or is that like start of your craft until now?
Sure. So last year, 2025, was our 10-year anniversary as a company. I went to Lutherie School out in California in 2009.
Okay.
So technically, this would
Yeah,
be
you're
my
going.
17th year of doing this, but 10 years as of last year of doing this with my own company. I did a lot of private guitar repair and like vintage guitar restoration when I lived out in California. Um, I'm originally from Philadelphia area, but I lived out in California for a long time. Uh, just, getting experience and networking and uh, doing the band thing as well. But yeah, so it's been 10 years with Balaguer guitars, but been doing it technically since 2009.
What do you feel like as your company grows, do you hold on to certain parts as far as like hey, I want to keep, as much hands-on as I can, even though we're, maybe you're at a production level of, a much higher caliber as time goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of always been something I've been chasing over the years, because the way that it worked out for us is almost backwards compared to a lot of American companies, where most American companies, just in my experience, will, you know, build guitars in the United States and kind of grind to grow the brand by just building custom USA guitars, and then eventually maybe they get to the point and size that they feel like they can release an import line like made in Korea or Indonesia or somewhere else.
Mhm.
Whereas in 2015, when I started this brand, I was building guitars in the United States one at a time, But it was very soon after I started the brand that I was able to meet one of our business partners in Korea, John, um, and we were able to start a production line, which is now called our Select Series and Select Custom Series. Back then, um, released it pretty soon after starting the brand. So our growth over the years was pretty exponential and pretty quick, because of the fact that we were already offering guitars that were like less than $2,000.
Hmm.
Um, and that wasn't really my initial plan with the brand. It just happened to be that way because of the right time, the right place, meeting the right people, and kind of taking a chance on doing that back then, on the scale that we did it. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm always chasing to do more USA stuff and kind of relinquish some of the business duties to other people, so I can kind of get back to the more creative side of things, which is what I really feel like where my strengths are and where I just enjoy my time the most. And we're getting there. Like every year, I'm feeling less and less over encumbered with business stuff, thanks to like our great team of people that we have. Um, so yeah, man, it definitely it is. Uh, every year we feel growing pains, which is something I'm really grateful for. But we always try and like make sure we're not biting more than we can chew. And um, every year I feel like we're gaining more ground on allowing me to do more USA one-off builds, which are called our Heritage Series guitars. Because as of right now, I'm only building a few handful of those a year, and it's normally for like trade shows or specific collaborations with like pickup companies or things like that as like showpieces. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the end goal is for me to just hopefully walk in one day to the shop and just build guitars and
Nice.
not have to do anything else. But
I think that that being said, brings up Seymour Duncan, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, that was a recent trip of ours.
so is that there because you also design pickups too, right? So
Yep.
is this going to be like a mix? You'll have your own and you'll have the Seymour Duncan partnership?
Yeah, so we've actually been working with Seymour Duncan like formally for a few years now. Really, the video that we did with them recently was just because we were out there for NAM, in Anaheim, and it's only about an hour and a half north of Anaheim is where Seymour Duncan is in Santa Barbara, and we're good buddies with Zach and Justin and a few other folk over at Seymour Duncan. We're like, hey, what if we come up there after the show, after the NAM show, and just like come up with this idea of this video series that internally we were talking about doing for quite some time, which is called Crafted Together on our YouTube channel, where we just, the Seymour Duncan thing was the test bed because we were already out there. It didn't require a ton more logistics to make it happen. Um, but we have our buddy Steven, who's our videographer for stuff like this. He came out with us as well. And we just did a collaborative like marketing, video where we toured the shop and talked about how we work together and showcased some guitars that I made, with their pickups in them as well. Um, and just show the synergy of the brands together, and just kind of as like a showcase type of video for our YouTube channel. So we've been working with Seymour Duncan for a while. It was just kind of like a, hey, let's kind of highlight this in a way that people are now way more aware that you know not only do we offer their pickups, but maybe the people who have been following Seymour Duncan were never aware of our brand, and now there's
Yeah.
way more synergy there, because we do make our own pickups, and that is, I would say, our most popular pickup choice in our like online guitar configurator and our custom guitars as well, where I think we have over 9 or 10 different humbucker models, and we build P90s and single coils and Jazzmaster pickups and a whole slew of stuff. And we spend a lot of time and energy into designing our pickups, and it is a big part of, I think, what sets our guitars apart um, from other brands, maybe in the same sphere of what we do. Is a lot of brands will just throw in Fishmans or EMGs or Seymour Duncans or bare knuckles or whatever in their production guitars, which is totally cool, and I think that's a huge selling point for a lot of brands and models and stuff. Um, but yeah, our pickups are still the most popular, but we have been working with Seymour Duncan. We also work with bare knuckle, EMG, Fishman, Lambertones, Porter, Railhammer, like a whole bunch of pickup companies. We're not really, we don't think our pickups are the end all be all because we're all gearheads at the end of the day.
It is
But
nice when you get a guitar new and like you go and play it and you're like, thank God I don't have to change the pickups. Like, it is
yeah,
really refreshing to have that
yeah, I
have that right
agree.
away.
And I think that was kind of the whole point why we wanted to spend so much time on making sure our pickups were worth um, checking out for people, because we also sell our pickups aftermarket for people who want to put them in their Les Pauls or some other kind of guitar. Um, Instead of it just being like, oh, this is just a random no name OEM, pickup that Balaguer puts in their guitars. That's not the case at all. Um, we prototype all of our new models before we put them into production, and it's yeah, it's a big part of what we do. But the Seymour Duncan thing was super fun, and um, it was just an amazing trip being able to meet MJ, who is the custom shop manager who's been there for 40 years, and she has just notebooks upon notebooks in her workbench of handwritten specifications on pickups, and she pulled a few out that were from like the 70s and the 80s with like Eddie Van Halen's handwriting.
Oh
and
man.
and we're like, hey, look, this is where the 78 humbucker originally came from. And talking
Wow.
about Peter Frampton and like all these other little history tidbits that she allowed us to kind of you know pierce behind the curtain or pierce the veil of like what they do and what they have done. It's just really was cool, and feel very grateful that we got to do that. But that's going to be the first video of many that we're going to try and do with some other brands.
Yeah,
So
that is super cool. Essentially, though, it's funny, like when you look at something like that, but then you look at real time of like what you're doing now, and you're essentially going to make those same type, I mean, someone's going to look 30 years from now and be like, look at this. This is where, Joe sat down with, several artists and designed the cauterizer or, what,
for sure.
that's cool. I think with it sounds like the way you guys approach it too, like having the option of several different brands, but also for the player that says, "Hey, I'm coming to a company for a specific, let's say boutique style guitar. I want to have, you know, um, the pickup that nobody has also, right? So uh, it gives you that the one of one and not one of many, or or
Yeah.
specific sound, regardless, if they work with you directly, and that's cool.
Yeah, we obviously work with all the brands that I listed, but if you're in our online configurator, we don't list all of the models from every single pickup brand, because I feel like we would need its own configurator just for the pickups selection
Oh
of
yeah.
of stuff. So we do remind people too, like, hey, if you're looking at Seymour Duncan pickups and you only see however many models, but you want the specific model that they offer, but it's not in there, we can get anything any of those brands offer, and we can also utilize their custom shop or utilize like bare knuckles custom stuff as well. And we also work with like Lundgren and some other smaller companies too. But if there's ever anything that we don't have on the website, yeah, for sure. Like we've done one-off things for people if they ask nicely. um, and that's the fun part. At least one of the fun parts of doing what we do is being able to kind of have those conversations with people and understand what they're trying to do and see if we can help make it happen.
So out of uh all your different styles that you have out now, what's your favorite?
um it's funny, I'm laughing because I myself and my director of operations Jake, we have this conversation quite a bit because when it's not me doing interviews and like podcasts like this, it's normally it's either him or I. um and I tend to always cop out with the answer on this because I feel like I'm choosing my favorite child or something.
Right, right.
um but I do think, like, if I had to dilute the brand down to like what's Balaguer known for, or like what are you guys known for, and I would say it's the Espada body shape.
Yeah,
um just because it's, I would argue, our most unique and iconic like silhouette and just vibe in general, because so many people choose that model across the board, whether they're specking like a semi-hollow classic looking guitar that they're going to play like shoegaze or like ambient music on, to the other extreme where it's like a flat top murdered out 7 string baritone that like Four from Sleep Token plays. It's like it's so uh I think it's just one of those like undefinable body shapes that we offer, that it just has become, not intentionally, but has become like our flagship shape, our flagship model.
yeah.
Um, so I would have to say that for sure.
Does that like does that circle back to your early the vintage shop that you were working for? I know you have a special spot for vintage guitar body style, things like that. Is that kind of what that stems from?
Yeah, I mean, our tagline has always been vintage inspired modern design, just because, like, much like a lot of people growing up that are in their 30s or 40s. I'm going to be 40 in July this year. So um, you've probably owned a Fender or a Gibson or something along those lines. Or if you were, super into metal, maybe it was an Ibanez or a Jackson or whatever. But for me, I was super into, Norlin era 80s Les Pauls. But I also really dug jazz masters and offset style guitars. So when I was thinking about the Espada, um, it kind of was an amalgamation or a combination of an offset single cut guitar, but with a J style vibe to it. And the spoon cut, the arm contour, was kind of inspired by a few things as well. So that's where I ended up with that shape. I really was just trying to make something that was kind of like fusing those two inspirations that I pulled from, which is why that tagline has made so much sense for us over the years. Because a lot of our silhouettes, a lot of our shapes, you can tell are familiar enough for most people. But there is something unique, in my opinion, or slightly different about them that make them more us, instead of just doing a carbon copy of something. Um, so yeah, the Espada was just born out of me wanting something that was like an offset Les Paul meets a Jaguar or something.
Yeah,
Not to oversimplify it, but that's kind of where that body was birthed from.
that's cool, man. Yeah, I think it's nice to be able to take a fan favorite of something and say, I like this, but what if we did this? What if we cut this back a little bit, or
Hmm.
and whether that was what do you want to say? What you liked personally, and it felt better to you, but at the end of the day, they're doing well. So that's awesome, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think they have they look fast to me. Like it's got I don't know how that word works, but it seems like it's got a fast look to the body style on the Espanadas.
Yeah, the Espada is like a very um unique thing because it's like I said, there's people will spec them out and it'll look like super classic, but then other people will spec it out and it'll look like it could be played in any kind of metal or heavier music. But it is ergonomic and comfy and fast and all those things just because of how offset it is. Um, and the arm contour obviously helps with that as well. But yeah,
So you have a background in not just guitar building and luthier, but um, as far as bands and things yourself. And can you tell us a little bit about that? Just what you've been a part of, or whether it was just a
sure.
garage band or
Yeah. So I played in a lot of local bands outside of Philly here. I guess the most popular, I don't even want to say popular, but the most active band that I was in before I moved out to California, I had a short stint in a band called With Life in Mind. And it was a melodic hardcore, melodic metalcore. I'm not sure how you'd classify it, but they were signed to CI Records, and we toured quite a bit. Um, and it was a cool band. I joined after the fact, after one of the guitar players left. Did that for a little bit. This was like 2011, maybe. Um, so a few years before I started my company. And then when I lived out in California, I played in a band called Animals of Kin, and actually played bass in that band and did some backup vocals. And that was a complete other side of the spectrum. It was like folk rock. Um,
nice?
it was, I met some people when I lived out in Los Angeles at a music store that I was working at, and they needed a bass player, and I was helping write some of the guitar parts, and it just kind of fell together. And then it fell apart because some of the other members were and are, you know, actors, and that was kind of their main gig, and the music was kind of the side hobby thing. Where for me, I was like, the music needs to be the main thing.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, I guess those were the two projects that I felt like I had a little bit of, you know, a little bit of the taste of being on the road and doing the whole thing. And I still play now. It's just not as serious because of, being a dad, having two kids, running a company, all that kind of stuff. It leaves little time for anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I hear that. Yeah, that's cool though. Just to create some time just to jam, even if it's on your own, or
Yeah,
now so much is at our fingertips. You can send stuff off, or or if you want to
sure.
get a song mixed that's your own and hire people. I think it's nice to keep it going somewhat, right?
Totally.
The
Yeah.
kids like watching you play.
Yeah, I think so. I have two boys, one's 7 and one's 3, so they're still kind of like in uh the ages where they're just like, crazy essentially. But
Yeah.
Right.
they uh they do enjoy uh watching me play. They also enjoy playing themselves. Um, playing guitar or drums here, and they also love coming to the shop and looking at all the guitars and me
Oh
saying,
yeah.
"Hold on, don't touch that, don't touch
Right.
that."
Right.
But yeah, no, it's great.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's I'm Sean and I both are super family oriented, so
Awesome.
it's nice that you can balance a busy life and still make time for the up and coming Balaguer, you know,
The future
pass the torch
employees.
someday, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
So, can we talk more about some of the artists under Balaguer guitars?
Sure.
You have we've talked about Devin. You have let's see here. I had a whole. Well, you can take it away. I know you can.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Devin, of course, of the Acacia strain, Devin Scheidaker. One of our very early artists, well, technically our first artist was Bo. Well, I say was and is, he's still an artist. Bo Burchell from Seosin. Um, over the years, we've developed signature guitars with him. He still has his signature Woodman BB guitar that we just released the 10th anniversary version last year of that. So the pre-orders open for that. Shameless plug. We also work with Dan O'Connor from 4 Year Strong, Tony Pizzuti from Sleeping with Sirens. Oh man, there's almost too many to name as far as like over the last 10 years because I think we're up to like 80 or 90 artists at this point across like
Yeah,
local bands to national touring bands to international bands. There's also people we work with where we don't necessarily have like um, ink to paper contracts with. Like we'll have handshake deals with people where they're just into what we do and we'll build them a guitar and they'll play it.
yeah,
Like four from Sleep Token. We're also building a bass for three from Sleep Token right now. Those two
Oh, that's
dudes
awesome.
are those two dudes are awesome, but they're like, they're at a level where they just don't really feel the need to sign contracts, and that's good with us. We have similar deals with some other artists in addition to them. We also work with Mitch Stark from Silent Planet, who also just joined Dayseeker as well. Um, oh man, what else? Andy Thomas from Rivers of Nile, who's a local band for us. I've known Andy for like, oh God, I don't even know, 16, 20 years, something crazy like that. Yeah, it's been awesome. I guess Vadim from Poison the Well, forgot that I'm wearing the hoodie.
nice.
Um,
Huge fan, by the way.
Yeah, for
Me
sure.
too. That was kind of, it's funny, like not to be too much of a fanboy or whatever, but those situations are weird for me when like, I remember going to see that band in high school. This was 2004, 2005. Um, Anytime they'd come through Philadelphia, whether it was the First Unitarian Church or the Trocadero or whatever, would go to see Poison the Well. And I don't know if Vadim was in the band back then. I know they had some member changes over the years, but uh, just being able to meet him in person and go to see their 25th anniversary tour, which is where I got this hoodie, and see Vadim on stage playing a guitar that we sent him. It was just like, full circle for me that I was just like, all right, I'm good. Like, if
That's
Yeah,
everything
awesome.
crumbled tomorrow, like,
That's awesome.
I would be content. And we just sent him a second guitar last week. So, yeah, I feel very grateful and very fortunate to be able to work with a lot of the bands and artists that I personally love and listen to. Devin is no exception. I mean, I've been listening to the Acacia strain uh, since around the same time, like the early 2000s. Um,
same.
so yeah, it's just cool to be able to have that be part of the journey.
Uh,
Yeah, I feel like the show for us does that for us. I don't think every show um has always a connection with the artist or, but I feel like we start off as fans with with everybody that we have on. So like if you're ever in the pre just like today, if you're ever in that pre 5 minutes before the show starts and people don't see, but we're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, I get to
Sure.
talk to this guy and I've been following what he does or her.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's cool. I've spoke to you about you have Rob from Crown Magnetar, right?
Yeah, yeah. Rob and I go
Yeah,
way
he's a
back.
powerhouse of a guitar player.
He is. Rob Miramonte is also one of the sweetest dudes. Him and I met actually at the NAM show. This was, oh my gosh. I'm trying to get like dial back my directory of memories in my brain right now, and I think it was probably 2013, maybe 2012, something like that. I met him at the NAM show. Actually, funnily enough, through Pat Sheridan from Fit for an Autopsy. I was hanging out with Pat, who I've known for a very long time. He's one of my old friends. And before I started the brand or anything like that. And he was hanging out with Justin McKinney, who back then was not in any band that I was aware of, but then he went to then join the Faceless and now the Zenith Passage.
That's cool.
And Justin was very close with Rob back then, and they were hanging out at NAM, and they all just ended up hanging out with Pat. And I think back then there was also Frank from Years Spent Cold and a few other dudes who we all just kind of ended up hanging out as a crew for pretty much the whole show. And then I think the NAM after that and the NAM after that, I'd always see Rob and we would just kind of link up. And, when he saw that I started my own brand, he was one of the first dudes that reached out, was like, dude, how do I buy a guitar? How can we work together? And was never like I want to hand out kind of guy. Like he was always in our corner and trying to do what he could to work with us. And, he's got like 6 guitars from us now, and he is, I agree, a ripper. But he's also one of the best dudes. And Crown Magnetar is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I
I
can't wait to hear more of what he brings to the table with that band because
Yeah, me too.
We saw them at Toledo Death Fest a couple of months back, and it was like no joke. It was like 99 or 100 degrees outside.
Oh
oh
my
yeah.
gosh, I
but
believe it.
but it was unbelievable. Like when they played, I was like, man, that is just visceral anger.
Yeah. And he hadn't been officially announced as the guitar player yet. So it was
Right.
you're as a guitar player, we were already kind of like honing in on like, oh well, who's this guy? So
Yeah.
you dig around and but yeah, he it's crazy how a guy like him and these artists can at a very short notice jump into a full-blown tour or
Mhm.
just a full functioning band and be like, oh yeah, you have 15 songs, I'll learn them by tomorrow.
He's
you
he
know
is yeah, he is that dude though. I mean, for those of you who don't know Rob Maramonte personally, and what he's done in his career, he used to play in All Shall Perish. He used to play in a few different bands that were just, super technical stuff. And Crown
yeah,
Magnetar is no exception to that. And Rob also had his own project, Moldrotha. I don't know if you've ever heard that,
yeah,
but
man, I
that's
think I have
also,
heard of that.
you should definitely check out the Moldrotha album because it is very sick. And that's like Rob's baby. Um, it was probably a handful of years ago that he came out with that album, but yeah, no, he's great. And yeah, we just recently, right before they had their international tour, we sent Rob his newest guitar, which is a Diablo 8 string with a Lundgren pickup in it. Just a
Yeah,
single pickup powerhouse of a guitar.
yeah. I isn't doesn't it have kind of like like a textured finish on the face of it, or right? If I
Yeah,
recall.
it's one of our most popular finishes. It's called rustic black, which is it's an open pour
That's yeah.
finish over ash. It's an ash body guitar, but it's like an open pour black finish. It's something we came out with probably 6, 7 years ago, and it's been one of our top three finishes that people order since then. And I think I want to say like three or four of his guitars uh, either have that finish or are just like completely blacked out. So if you see him, if you go to his Instagram and like look at his collection of guitars, they all have a specific theme to them, and it's black.
That's funny. I have a lot of white guitars, which
Nice.
and inadvertently I didn't realize it until I had too many, I guess. But uh
Sure.
no, that's cool. Are you able to tell me a little bit about because on your site I want to say you guys have some different options too, like for people to order it's and build at the same time. Can you kind of walk us through that as far as what someone stepping in to buy a guitar from you guys, what their options are and
Sure. Yeah, I would say the simplest way to explain what we do is, uh, we have uh, essentially four tiers of guitars. Our standard series guitars are, pretty indicative to the name as far as, standard specs. They are production guitars made in Indonesia as kind of like a gateway to the brand where they're sub $1,500. Sometimes they're as low as $999 or $1,100. They still come packed with all the premium specs you'll see throughout the rest of the tiers of guitars that we offer, like stainless steel frets, locking tuners, Graphtec nut, roasted maple necks, things like that. And then you step up one tier to our select series, which are made in South Korea instead of Indonesia. And those encompass like artist signature guitars, um, and like limited runs, limited drops of just specific Korean guitars that will kind of curate to satisfy a specific thing that we want to do. Um, and then in between the South Korean production guitars and the USA guitars, we do our select custom guitars, which are still made in South Korea, but they're semi-custom guitars, and those are the guitars that you could order through our online guitar configurator or our online bass configurator, where you design it there. You see a graphic representation of the guitar. You hit order. We send you updates along the way. Those are semi-custom guitars made in South Korea. They come to Pennsylvania when they're completed, and we do the rest of the quality control there before it goes to you. And then the final tier of guitars we do are USA made. Um, so that can mean the heritage guitars that I spoke about earlier in this, where they're the one off guitars that I build myself, either for trade shows or showpieces, or our USA series, which are just production USA guitars that we do small runs of throughout the year, anywhere from 18 to 24 guitars at a time. Um, and that's kind of the TLDR, too long don't read, kind of quick summary of what we do. But if you go to our website and just click like products or series, it'll show, everything that I just said. It'll say like standard series, select custom, USA, yada, yada. You can click on each individual one. It will tell you what it's about. But I would say the most popular guitar or bass that we build are the select custom, the semi custom South Korean guitars, because they're just so, um, I don't want to toot our own horn, but it's just like for the bang for the buck, being able to get a semi custom build for most of the time under $2,800. Um, and you can split the payment up. We only require a 50% deposit. Um, and yeah, you can get option paralysis going through our online builder, because we just have so many finishes that you can choose from: wood combinations, pickups, scale lengths, body shapes. Like, if you've ever been to like a custom car configurator on like Porsche's website or, anywhere else, it's similar to that where you can kind of just build out whatever you want. Um,
I had no
and
idea
yeah.
Porsche had something like that.
Well, I don't know if Porsche does, but I know there are a few other car companies that do stuff like that.
That's wild. That's
Um,
cool.
but yeah,
For
no,
under
it's
$2,800. No.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely not for $2,800. But yeah, I mean our select custom guitars, the base price starts around like 1675. It's something like that, and
Yeah.
then based on what you choose spec wise, it adds to the price. Um, but yeah, I mean it's kind of split down the middle. We do a lot of production guitars, but then we also do a lot of custom guitars, whether they're made in South Korea or the US.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah,
That's a huge option, I think, for the consumer that's like you said, whether it's the user friendly, just a I don't know, grab and go type of, I can order this, I know I'm gonna get it, in 6 weeks or whatever, versus, some of the other ones that might be a little bit more lengthy, just as far as
for
who's
sure.
got their hands on it and, you know, whether Joe's building it himself or,
Yeah,
no, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I was gonna ask you something there. That'll come back to me.
yeah. I've been thinking about getting like a guitar like your company. Like I don't know. Like since I've been a kid, it's always been cheap, like $400 to $700 guitars, and then like as I got older, I think the most expensive guitar I've ever got was like $1,700. But
Sure.
like I've noticed over the years like the difference of the quality, whether it comes from like Indonesia or Korea, and I've been burned so many times to where like I would rather just like get that payment over with instead of bringing it to my guitar tech like 7 times.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm interested. I just have to like do some more research and see what I like. You might have a customer.
No, for sure. And that's great to hear. I mean, the one advantage that we have with doing the semi-custom guitars, the select customs in Korea, uh, for most people that probably don't know this, is like we've been working with this shop for almost 10 years now, and it's not a large factory by any means. It's not World Music who makes like Schecter and Chapman and all those other guitars in the same shop in Korea. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But we have a smaller shop that we work with that they really care about quality, and they have more flexibility on allowing us to procure the type of wood that we want to use, and the quality of the wood. And we're going over there later this year to visit their new shop that they just moved into late last year, and we just have a really close relationship with them. And I think it shows in the guitars as well, that they truly care about what they do, uh, just as much as we do. And I think that is just another thing that makes what we do a bit more unique. Is I talk to those dudes every day of the week for the last 10 years, essentially. We go to get Korean barbecue with them every time they come out to Nam. Like it's a really close knit team vibe, even though they're a world away in South Korea. Um, it's not like we're just sending an email out to a factory hoping things get done correctly. It's a bit more intimate than that. So
Yeah, like I respect like when companies put lots of effort into quality to ensure that your customer is going to be happy with the final product. I've had some really negative experiences over the years with big guitar brands I won't name, but some of these guitars, the way they're like, the, usually you'll see some popular artists playing with them, and then you'll order them and be like, "What the hell is this?" but
sure.
I respect the hell out of quality of work. It's a guitar player doesn't want to sit down in their first impression being like, oh man, this has to get set up and the action's all wrong and it's all out of intonation and it's
Yeah.
it's pleasant when you get a good one.
Even
Yeah.
some simple things you would think like the paint on the guitar and like, things being taped off. And I've seen some things from, like you said, big guitar companies where you're like, wow, I don't know what happened happened there, but
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's, I feel like if you can sell a guitar for 400 bucks, there's probably going to be things that are going to be missed. Not because the factory is not doing the best job they can do, but probably because they have a specific kind of output they need to get done by the end of the day or the end of the week or the end of the month, to
right,
where when those thousands of guitars get sent out of that factory to wherever the headquarters is of that big guitar brand, the people at that big guitar brand then need to get through an X amount of quota of guitars from a quality control standpoint every day, every week, every month. And then when it finally gets to you, it's crossed however many different hands at this point, but the amount of time into that guitar from a QC standpoint is probably pretty low. And I think that's the one thing that, um, our select custom guitars are go through the same 46 point QC checklist that our Indonesian guitars, that are production guitars that are built in larger runs. They go through the same QC checklists by the same people in Pennsylvania. Um, so there's no corners being cut depending on what guitar you buy from us. It all gets the same QC treatment. Um, and I think that's important when you're thinking about paying more than whatever you feel normally comfortable with paying for a guitar,
Yeah, yeah,
that you don't want to, have it arrive with crazy sharp frets or have it arrive with any type of issues where you have to immediately take it to the tech and pay another $100 or $200 to get it playing correctly.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
remember paying like $1,600 for an 8 string, and it arrived, and like the nut on the guitar was so sharp it like cut my hand. I was like, wow.
yeah, that's it's funny that you say that specific issue, because we just sent a guitar out to an artist as a loaner, and it's a multi-scale 7 string. And the nut, one of the things we always do, because it is more noticeable on the multi-scale guitars because
Oh
of
yeah,
how the nut is angled, we take some micro mesh pads and we actually sand down the corners of the nuts. So when your hands down there and you're like playing low chugs or whatever, that your index finger isn't getting scraped to all high hell from
yeah,
the corner of the nut. And that's something you immediately, if you're QCing that guitar and you're actually playing it, when you're tuning it and intonating it and adjusting the neck relief and everything, you'll immediately feel that and be like, oh, I can't send it out like that. Because at the end of the day, we may spend 20 minutes minimum up to 45 minutes on a guitar to QC it. And the whole point of it is like, we don't want that guitar coming back. We want
right.
whoever receives it to be stoked on it, and we can move on to the next one and not have to worry about not only having an unhappy customer, but like having to get guitars back. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like it's not worth
Right.
it. So
I remember I was thinking when I first discovered your company, I remember seeing, don't you make like a black sparkled finish? It's like, I swear I remember seeing, like, it almost looked like outer space. Like it was black sparkle, but I don't know. That guitar stuck out to me. I swear it was you guys.
Hey, Plan B, thanks for the raid. How you doing tonight?
yeah, so we have two finishes.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Like,
Yeah, we have two finishes that I think are similar to what you're talking about. One of which is actually called Cosmic Sparkle, which is a black sparkle finish but instead of using like very fine silver flake in the black finish, we use holographic flake. So like when you hold the guitar at certain angles and like move it, the light refracts off the holographic flake in it. So it
Oh
kind of
yeah.
gives this crazy hologram vibe to it. And then the other finish that we do is very similar. It's called Quantum Sparkle. But instead of a black base coat with the holographic flake, we do like a silver base coat. Um, so if you can imagine, that same type of finish, but like silver with holographic sparkle in it. So yeah, that's probably what you're thinking of is the Cosmic Sparkle, the black one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It definitely
yeah,
stuck out. I was like, oh man,
for
maybe
sure.
down the road might have to hit you up on that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Um, so when you were talking about some of these artists that um maybe don't necessarily hold like you said, a pen and paper contract, but um have you worked with Mike Stringer possibly? I thought I saw
Yeah.
his, yeah, I thought I saw that labeled in there as far as um just
Mhm.
trying to go back and find it here.
Yeah, Mike owns a Growler 7 string select custom from us that we built for him a few years ago. It's actually in their music video for Constance, the song Constance. He's
Yeah,
playing that guitar in that video. So besides that guitar, we also are sending him. It's the same body shape. It's called the Growler. It's like our J style, shape. We're sending him a 30-inch scale 6 string baritone
really.
with an Evertune and his Halcyon signature pickup. So we're working on that one right now, and that was actually from last year. It was our 10th anniversary production run of guitars that we did in Korea. We grabbed one of those 30-inch scale ones for him, and we're installing an Evertune in it, and yeah, getting his signature pickups in, and we're going to send that to him in the next few weeks. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
another thing, it's not like it's not a signature deal, it's not a pen to paper deal. It's just like a hey, dude. When he initially reached out to us a handful of years ago to do that 7 string, he paid for that guitar. Like he obviously we hooked him up, but like it wasn't like oh Mike, will you play our guitars? We'll give you one for free kind of thing. It was,
Right.
he was into what
Truly
we
liked your brand.
yeah, he was into what we were doing, and you know, we probably would have been like, no, dude, like we'll give you
Right.
a guitar kind of thing. He's like, no, 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 I'll order it. The same thing happened with Jim Root from Slipknot. He ordered 2 guitars from us years ago, like right off the rip, just on our website. And it's funny not to get derailed from the Mike Stringer thing because I love Mike and I just saw him at the NAM show and super good dude. But same thing happened with Jim. He ordered 2 guitars from us, and we review all the orders when they come in, just in case someone chooses a spec that like is incorrect or something. Because sometimes that happens because you can choose whatever you want in the builder, but we have to review every order. And as I was reviewing his order, he chose black binding with black side dots, and I was like, "There's no way this person, whoever it is, did this on purpose."
Right.
So I went through the rest of the order. I looked at the name at the bottom and I was like, there's no way.
Right.
I was like, there's no, it says James Root. I was like, there's no way. I've been listening to Slipknot since 2001. Like, there's no way.
Right.
And there was a phone number. So I called him and I was like, hey, is this James? He's like, yep. I was like, thank you for your order. Kind of went through. I was like, I just want to make sure your specs are correct. He's like, oh, no, I definitely meant to choose white side dots. That's my bad. And of course, I had to be the guy that was like, "Is this like James, as in Jim
Right.
from Slipknot?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Oh no, oh no."
Right.
Uh, it was not to humble brag or anything, but it was the same kind of thing with Mike, where like I was already a fan of what they
Right.
do, and I was just like, "Dude, I wish you would have reached out to me, before you placed the order, because." It would have been cool to, I don't know, do something for you. But anyway, um, But Mike is one of those dudes where it's just kind of like he plays what he wants to play. He has some really cool stuff with Aristides guitars, and those guys are great too. And yeah, just happy to be able to work with people like that who just kind of see what we do and are interested beyond just like a monetary involvement, um, and just want to support us just like we want to support them. So
Yeah, that is cool, man.
When I snuck off for a second, I had to grab this to show my love.
oh hell yeah,
Right.
one of the best albums right there
Hell yeah.
ever. It's awesome.
Yeah, Sean and I are big anything from that era.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Did you guys get to catch them when they came through with the anniversary tour?
Yeah, I did. I
Sean
went and
did.
saw him with Better Lovers on the anniversary tour.
Oh yeah.
I never heard of Better Lovers, and then I'm like, why does that vocalist look familiar? I'm like, oh, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah, as soon as you hear him sing or scream, you're like, ah, okay,
Oh,
that's the dude from Dillinger Escape Plan.
oh yeah, like man, and he can still get those high piercing. Whew.
Yeah, that band's incredible. I that was actually the when I saw them on that same tour in Philly, Poison the Well. That was the first time I've ever seen Better Lovers live, and also the first time I ever heard more than a song at a time. Because I was, I guess, just not in the know, and not, you know, aware enough of what they're doing. But they're an incredible band. Super, powerhouse, super group type of type of band. The amount of people that are in that band, it's just kind of wild. And yeah, it was amazing to see Glassjaw as well, which is another favorite of mine.
Yeah, I feel like they frequent around here. We've Sean, haven't they been around here quite a bit? I feel like recently, maybe
uh,
last year or something.
yeah,
They did some kind
I'm
did some
drawing a
kind of
blank.
tour.
For some reason, like the last 2 years have been crazy with shows around here, and I can't keep up with all of them. The I can't remember all the people that came through here.
Mhm.
Hmm,
We have a mutual friend that I think is a huge fan of him. That's what's sticking out to me. But um,
gotcha.
yeah. So could you talk a little bit about like when? So what made you get into being a luthier? Did you like how did that whole thing go down as far as getting into school and
Sure. Um, so, when I would say probably in my teens, 16, 17, when I was like really starting to um, obsess over playing guitar. Like I was coming home from school every day, playing for 6 hours straight until my mom was like, you need to put it down and come eat dinner kind of thing. Um, that was, uh, that was the start of realizing I enjoyed playing the guitar, but I also enjoyed just as much learning about the gear,
yeah,
um, whether it was guitars, amps, pedals, all of that, and that led me to guitar forums when those were a thing back in the day. So Harmony Central, which RIP to that, but
yeah,
I spent a lot of time on there learning about gear. And as I was learning about gear, I was then learning about repair, learning about modding your own guitars. I had a really cheap, crappy Radio Shack soldering iron that I think my grandfather had in the garage at the time, and I was learning how to desolder my own pickups, and it just was a snowball at that point to where I would say then rolling into my late teens, early 20s, I was doing all of my own work on my guitars, albeit probably not to the level that you know would even be passable in today's standards. But it wasn't until I was trying to do the traditional school route post high school, the college route essentially. Um, and it just wasn't for me. I just wanted to play music and I wanted to get deeper and deeper into guitars and things like that. and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was a magazine, like a Guitar World magazine, or if it was just perusing on the internet back then. But I was 20, 21, 22, something like that, when I actually went and visited the Luthery school. So it's still pretty young. Um, so this was 2009. So 4 years after I graduated high school. So yeah, I think 22. Moved out to California. Luckily I had a very supportive, single mom that was like, if you can figure out how to pay for it, you can go do whatever you want to do. And that's what I did. I moved out there and went to Luthery school and kind of put my eggs all in that basket. And I worked some jobs, some 9 to 5 out there to pay the bills and stuff until I could figure out how to get into a shop to learn how to do repair beyond what I learned in Luthery school. And but yeah, it was really just like a necessity thing of like I needed to work on my own guitars because I didn't have money growing up as a teenager, and neither did my parents. And I just kind of fiddled around and tinkered until the point where I was like, I actually really enjoy doing stuff like this. Um, and yeah, just reading articles on guitar forums and doing that whole thing, I just became enveloped in it. And it hasn't died off since, luckily.
We got a
That's
question
cool.
from someone in the audience. Chris Kim, aka Kin Sushi, asks, ask Joe if he remembers buying a Mackie monitor from Chris Kim about 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember every gear purchase I've ever done. That's funny. Hope you're well, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, like, so Chris, he streams quite a bit on Twitch. He just brought quite a few people into the chat. So small world.
No, I remember Chris. I That's funny. Oh,
Yeah, we've
man.
had him on here actually.
Yeah, Chris well, Chris used to play Ernie Ball guitars, right?
He
If I remember
still
correctly.
does. Yep.
And he used to I'm once again I think Chris used to play in a band with Johnny Craig, right? If I'm
Yes,
thinking of the same
yes,
Chris.
Yeah.
slaves, and
Yes.
turned
Okay.
into
Yes.
Rain City
So I
Drive.
definitely I
Yeah,
definitely remember that. Yeah, you're a good dude, Chris. That's cool. Small world. That's
Yeah, man.
funny.
Uh yeah, I can't imagine so I've actually shared the guy's name to you, Joe, but we have a friend that's a local luthier around here, and
Hmm.
some of the stuff that I see, the delicate work that you have to do, like with like finish restoration and just like fret work and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I
Yeah.
think that's the misconception when people are like, oh, $4,000 for a guitar or what, or but it's like
Hmm.
you don't realize like what it takes to put one fret in the guitar and have it proper, and
Yeah, sure. I
there's a
mean,
lot
even
of hours.
yeah, and even the people that not to get too down a rabbit hole with a tangent on a comment like that, but even the people that make the argument of like, oh, well, why does it cost $4,000 if he's using a CNC to cut out the body or using a CNC to cut out the neck? It's like, well, the CNC only does 60% of the work, and it's to make it precise. There's still a ton of handwork that has to happen after that. It's not like the CNC machine is just, popping out a completed guitar. That's not how it works
Right,
at all.
exactly.
So
Right.
it is interesting. I think for any custom guitar, whether it's made in Korea or the USA, like it's all on the same planet. And as long as it's being built with care, there's value in that. Um, and I think, you know, if you haven't actually done the work yourself, you don't really truly understand how much work it takes to just build a guitar at a specific high quality standard from start to finish. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, and then it's one thing to take that thought and say, all right, well, I'm making it for this person, but then to have three or four, or I mean, many more projects trying to go at the same time. And, you know, even the CNC thing alone, like you said, one little program error. And now you have to either like, how can I fix this
Oh yeah.
without scrapping the whole piece of exotic wood that I just cut out, you know?
Yeah. And also CNCs aren't cheap. I mean,
You know,
I just had to replace a part on mine this past week, and the part itself was 400 and something bucks just for one little part.
right.
And if you don't know how to replace that part, then you have to pay the tech who works for the company you bought the CNC from to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
do what he's trained for, which there's value in that as well. So it's like it's all yeah. It's
yeah,
it's hard sometimes to explain to people how the sausage is made and why it's expensive and all that,
yeah.
you know. But
You ever see like the memes where it's like, um, like paying the mechanic, right? It's like, well, the mechanic makes $140 an hour. Well, I'm not paying for the mechanic. I'm paying, for the
the
broken bolt
experience.
story, right? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can I can get the broken bolt out, but yeah,
Yeah. And that's why I I agree with that type of sentiment where like if someone reaches out to us and they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to do a wiring thing on my guitar. I want to swap the pickups on a guitar that you guys built me 6 years ago. Um, can I call you and you walk me through how to do the whole job?" It's like, well, no, because you would have to take this to Guitar Center and pay that person $150 for a pickup swap or something. I'm not going to do that for free. But if they
yeah,
email us and they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you just verify that these are the wire color codes and that I could use like a Seymour Duncan wiring diagram, or could you send me a diagram that would look similar to what I would need?" That I have no problem with.
yeah.
And it's
That's
like,
that's fair.
yeah, when people, I think, don't value the time or experience someone has doing said thing, it's a slippery slope because, you
Oh yeah,
can't, sometimes you can't give away the whole thing. You got to kind of
oh yeah, for
remind
sure.
people, there's value in certain things.
Yeah. Um, do you ever have any trouble, when you're working with an artist and like just for instance, the whole like black inlay on the um but have you ever had concepts from artists that just are not feasible in functionality of a guitar and you have to be like, hey, like that's not gonna work.
Luckily, nothing too out of the box where it's like, dude, you got to come back down to earth kind of conversation. It's more, if someone sends like a crazy intricate inlay idea, um, like literally, like a death metal font type of inlay, like on a fingerboard or
Right.
something.
Right.
It's like, dude, we could probably figure out how to do this with like milling the inlay with a CNC jeweler drill bit and then like, filling it with resin or something or epoxy, but like we're not doing that. Like, for this one guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
you
no,
probably
I
have to
don't.
blow up that image so big enough for your tool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think I would say 9 times out of 10, most conversations we have with artists, we always figure out a way to do whatever we need to do for them. I think there's only been a handful of times over the last 10 years where it's been like, it's never a conversation where, like I said, where it's like come back down to earth. It's more like a, hey, dude, that's cool, but let's do it this way. And it's always like, oh yeah, you're right, or oh yeah, let's do it that way. Um, so no, luckily we've been, knock on wood, we've been fortunate with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a luthier joke, knock on wood, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, next watch tomorrow. I'm gonna get a text from some artist being like, "Can you do a 10-string multi-scale flying V?" Or
Right, just to just
something
to
like that.
push you to your limits, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
well, what do you think I'm gonna want? No.
Right.
I'm on the website right now. I need your pickup diagram too.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, that's fine. I'll send you the Seymour Duncan website. That's my go-to. Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can talk about as far as maybe new things you'd like to try, or that maybe you're just interested in as far as new to Balaguer, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that we've always tried to push forward um, are just like ways to continue to offer options to people that are slightly outside of the box, that have some kind of like intention behind them, that's more than just like a here's a cool new finish. Because we definitely do that. Don't get me wrong. Like we'll definitely say here's a cool new finish, but we try and focus on, I think two good examples are we started offering Rich Light as a fingerboard wood a handful of years ago. And we didn't do that just because it was like, here's a cool new option. That wasn't the only reason. The bigger reason was, we have a lot of touring guitar players who maybe don't have time to upkeep their guitar or to have it held in a humidified container, or uh, carry a bunch of humidipacks with them and throw them in their guitar cases to make sure the neck doesn't kind of shrink and expand like crazy to where they have fret sprout all of the time. So that was a conscious thing for us. Like, let's offer Rich Light as a fingerboard option for people who maybe they're not a touring guitar player, but maybe they live in like a really volatile part of the country or the world where, from an environmental standpoint, like the winters are insanely dry and cold, and the summer and spring are insanely wet and humid. That's not a great place for an instrument made out of wood if you're not taking care of said instrument. Like if you don't have a humidification system that's pretty, you know, consistently running in your home. Um, so that's a one example of kind of something that we try and focus on to push forward the brand that is beyond, I think, the realm of normalcy for most brands. They tend to kind of go with trends and things like that. And, we definitely have our finger on the pulse with those types of things too. But another thing that we started doing recently was 9 strings, which I believe Devin mentioned on his podcast with you guys, his interview with you guys as well, where it's
Yeah.
not a 9 string from a standpoint of like 9 individual strings. It's a 6 string guitar with 3 unison strings on the G, B, and E, the higher strings. And that was popularized by Mastodon and High on Fire, bands like that. Um, and that was just to offer something different and unique for people that, there's only I think 1 or 2 brands out there that are even doing something like that, but they're none of them are doing it on a semi-custom guitar level.
Right.
So that those are the kind of things that I always try and kind of I always try and live in that paradigm of like, if we're going to be offering something unique this year, what should it be? And there needs to be like some intention behind it beyond just like, here's some cool new thing that is just a flashy new finish or a new wood that looks pretty, or, because those things will always add for sure. But if we're thinking about like, I think what you're getting at is like something that's exciting and interesting and has like more meaning behind it. Um, Wood alternatives have always been, I think, the biggest thing for me.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, I think the downside to it is it's way more expensive to do. Um, we've built a few guitars with aluminum necks over the years, mostly as showpieces, but we're trying to work towards that being kind of an option that we can eventually offer in the Select Custom Builder, just as an additional thing for people. And with the addition to Richlight as a fingerboard wood, we're also looking into other composite materials. Like there's a company in Finland called Flaxwood, Flaxwood,
Okay.
and they make fully composite necks and fingerboards. And it's kind of their own mixture of like phenolic resin and compressed spruce and a few other things. And it reacts very similarly to Richlight, but they make like actual solid necks out of it.
Really?
And we, so I built a guitar for the NAM show, not this past NAM show, but the one prior. So NAM 2025. Um, and I built an Espada around the Flaxwood neck. I actually have it at the shop still. It's one of my personal builds, and it's cool. And it doesn't shift around at all with temperature, humidity fluctuations, and it's super stable. It feels like a wooden neck. Like it doesn't feel like some weird alien material or anything like that. Um, and I think that those type of things are kind of, there's a through line there to one of the first questions that you asked earlier in the interview where you're like, at NAM, like, is there anything that you're excited about or that interests you? And it's, those are the kinds of things where if I see stuff like that at the show, like I want to spend time at those booths and really understand like
Yeah.
what all that stuff is. Cause you don't really, I don't know, living in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, like you don't get to see or experience a lot of that stuff. And the internet is great, but like to actually get your hands on it and understand if this is something worth pursuing and adding to our, online builder or just our guitars in general. Um, that's what's exciting for me and kind of what we're trying to push forward this year is just that mentality of just maintaining those types of aspects.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
We got one question from chat from Future Proof Visuals. The question is: Are there parts of your day today you still find challenging in a good way?
Yeah, for sure. Multiple parts of my day. um, I think just, we're a small company. Uh, even though we produce guitars from all over the world, like South Korea, Indonesia, and Pennsylvania, we're only 6 people. So we're not a huge corporation. Um, and with that, multiple people in the company have to wear multiple hats, just like many small businesses in the world. So I think that's the main challenge, but it's not a bad thing. It's just challenge. Like I have to be very adept at time management. Because if I let things slip, I will definitely realize it. Because by the
Right.
end of the day, I'm like, oh shit, I did not get this, and this done. So that means I'm going to be working tonight. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different challenges. I think if I had to pick something specific, um, it would be probably catching up on my emails. I feel like I can never get my head above water with that throughout the day, because I really like getting my hands on the guitars, whether I'm QCing the Korean guitars, if I'm working on a USA build. That's where my brain always wants to be. Um, so I do spend quite a bit of time at night here in this chair, looking into this computer, answering emails to make sure that the next day in the morning I'm not like pulling my hair out. Why didn't I work last night? But
Right.
yeah, that's just the, I think, struggle of just being a small business. But something I'm grateful for though, that we at least have work to be stressed about.
Yeah. Talking about those, I'm gonna say possible like a way of the future with some of these different composites that are coming out and these companies you're talking about. I think traditionally, of course, everybody, knows that guitars and made of wood and different woods, and then slowly over time we've seen different woods harder to get or
Mm,
illegal to
right.
access or um, but for the playability and the like you said, the player, even my house, I have a built-in humidifier in my furnace, but I still struggle with neck movement of the guitar and that I think that would be it's a fine line though because wood is there's so much beauty in some of these different
The
Yeah, you got the
humidity.
different
hygrometer right
exotic woods,
there. There you go.
Yeah, I got one mine sitting over my furnace too.
I think we have the same hygrometer too. I'm looking at mine right now and
Nice.
realizing that it's a bit too dry in my basement. But yeah, no, that's I think there's always going to be a place for wood with stringed instruments. Um, and I always will want to use wood. So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to get us to the point where we're only offering composite options. But I do think being the whole tagline of like vintage is inspiration, modern design, the modern design part of it for me is beyond just like, you know, having a carved neck heel instead of a block heel and more of the aesthetic approaches that I take with my guitar designs. The other, I guess, like pillar to that idea is trying to push forward the materials, and the how we source them and
Mhm.
um there's never going to be a shortage of certain woods just because of the vastness of the forests and the way that they continue to plant and
Right.
harvest certain woods. Because you're definitely right, there are certain woods that eventually will no longer be available just because of the fact that there's certain industries in the world like furniture industries and things like that that are completely destroying certain species of wood, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, I just think there are always going to be areas of improvement in instrument design, as long as there's people that are pushing it forward, like companies like Flaxwood, companies like RGI in Northeast US, who do aluminum necks, even like Illuminati. It's spelled like ALUM, Inati. I
Yep,
think,
I'm familiar with that one.
yeah, yeah. I think they're in, where are they? South Carolina, I think, or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
I think Bana promoted one of their guitars
Sure,
a while
Andrew.
back.
Yeah, Banya.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they're in Nashville, actually, North Carolina. Great guys. And they're also doing super cool composite, you know, aluminum builds. And I think that's all they really do. I don't think they do a lot of wooden stuff at all. But yeah, that stuff's just always interested me because there are definitely certain materials, certain non-wood materials that definitely have a very unique sound and resonance that not many people will jive with. But something like Flaxwood, I think, is taking an approach that is the most unique out of anything I've seen so far, where they're trying to retain the feel and resonance and, quote unquote tone of a wooden neck and fingerboard, but it's impervious to, you know, all the variables that normal wood is affected by. So that's exciting to me,
Oh yeah,
because
huge.
that could potentially bridge the gap someday for people who um, are hesitant or apprehensive with, you know, buying some weird composite neck for their guitar, because Flaxwood is trying to, and I promise this isn't a commercial for Flaxwood. I'm not affiliated in any way. I'm
Right.
just very excited about what they're doing. I I know that they're actually trying to move forward with doing like aftermarket neck creation. So being able to offer necks that you can just slap on your Fender or whatever,
Oh yeah, that's huge.
that line up with, the bolt pattern and everything like that. So yeah, it's cool. It's exciting, you know, to be where we're at right now, to be able to kind of go down that rabbit hole and see if something sticks for us.
I
So
I
got
would think machinability too, like with these different products, do they react the same? Or aluminum, obviously, you're not going to use the same type of end mill that you would use on, you know, a wood or so all that matters too. You might have
yeah,
to
it is.
retool appropriate to the
Yeah,
material, right?
totally. No, it is a very different way of manufacturing. Even the flaxwood stuff, aluminum, especially, like you said, like that is, you almost need a whole different machine.
Right.
Like if you're consistently cutting wood on your CNC, you almost need a whole different machine to mill like an aluminum neck. And you probably want something that has like a water cooled spindle and like a few other things that you would have to have set up differently, not just from an end mill perspective, but um, just the way that machine runs needs to be different as far as the spindle speed and everything else. So
Yeah.
like,
Two fluke or,
yeah. And
coolant.
yeah, and
Right.
the flaxwood thing too. I mean, I had a hard enough time. So they sent us, like I said, a handful of necks recently, but they sent us one neck about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, that I built a guitar with, and it was just a raw neck. Like I had to do all the work for the most part on it. And when I was installing the tuners, I was, you know, using my drill bit and drilling in the holes for the screws to mount the tuners. And it's a carbide drill bit. It's not a soft bit. But
Right.
I drilled into it. I was like, whoa, like this is some rigid stuff because
Really.
it's a layered material. So like as soon as you start drilling into it, you're going through each layer of whatever they're using in their molds.
Yeah.
So you're backing the bit out and the bit's like clogged up with like fiberglass or whatever they're using. I
Right.
don't know the full scientific breakdown of like how they make their necks, and they're probably not very. I would think they wouldn't be sharing that to the public very much, but
Right.
just because it's proprietary. But yeah, it's I would assume they probably have their own proprietary machinery to do a lot of that stuff because
Oh yeah.
it's uh it's impressive, and I I hope that we can eventually get to the point where we can offer those necks as like a standard option for the select custom stuff.
Nice.
Um, you know, but we'll see.
We got one more question from the audience. I don't want to say this guy's last name wrong. Brandon Kalium. Uh,
Oh, I know Brandon. What's up, dude?
Yeah, I think early on he said that you were the man or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I know Brandon. We talk pretty frequently on Instagram. Um, sorry, what was the question?
he said, what three bands slash artists are on your radar currently?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, I'm so bad at stuff like this because like I very much am a creature of habit, and I'll listen to albums that I have listened to for the last 20 years, which I feel like is not a rare thing. I think a lot of people do that our age.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's not a new band, but it's a band that just dropped a new album. I guess it's an EP, but Carnival. So Karnivool. They're an Australian. I don't even know how you would describe the music. It's like progressive metal. Um, but not progressive metal as in like super techy. It's almost like a more interesting sounding Tool if I had to
Okay.
condense it down. They just dropped a new album, which is super sick. Um, there is a guitar player who's one of our artists who is working on some new stuff. But I have been frequently putting on some of his older stuff as well that I just think he is such like a underrated guitar player. He's like one of the from a proficiency level and technical ability level, just like the best of the best. But his writing is super sick too. His name's Ed Garcia. And the project that he normally plays under is called Vitalism. So it's
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah, I see
yeah,
him.
Vitalism. Um, he's just like, he's Brazilian, and maybe that's part of why he isn't as well known. But he's just, I don't know. Look, if anyone listening or watching to this, like, just look him up on Instagram.
I, s-
He's just like, he's a
Yeah, I think I've seen him.
he's a monster.
I saw him on
Um,
TikTok. He had like a couple of short videos, and yeah, he was doing some shredding.
yeah, Vitalism is just like I don't know if you like tech metal, like that kind of stuff. It's so good. And I'm a huge Megadeth fan, uh, and his phrasing reminds me of Marty Friedman, and I feel like that's a pretty unique
Yeah,
phrasing in general. And he just the way he approaches his playing, I could gush about him all night. He's just like so out of the box. Like he's definitely check him out. I can't say enough good things about that dude. And I think a third one, um, oof. I mean, the newest Acacia Strain album is super sick,
hmm
and I've been listening to that a lot. I would say that that's a tie for me between that and the newest Rivers of Nile album, um, which I think is probably one of the most important and best progressive death metal albums I've listened to in the last 10 years. And I'm not just saying that because Andy's one of my oldest friends and that they play our guitars. It's just like that album, their most recent album is just, I don't know, start to finish, just so sick. There's also like saxophone on that album, which is super cool.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
cool. I like a good blend of some non-traditional instruments, right?
Yeah, if you need a gateway song for that album or that band, just look up the song Suborbital Blues. Um, it's just so good. It's like everything you would want to hear in like a death metal song. It's sick. But yeah, those would be my three, I guess. It's hard because there's so much good music.
Yeah, for sure.
How
Yeah,
about you? How about you guys? I'm curious now.
for the
uh,
chat or for us?
For
uh,
you, for the two of
I
you.
Yeah,
I
go
kind
ahead, Sean.
I kind of agree. I've actually talked to Nat about this quite a bit, and like a lot of the new stuff doesn't do it for me. Like I've been finding myself going back to like the old like Trustkill, like Ferret records, all that
Oh yeah.
era of music. But if I had to pick out a modern day band, I really like Darko US. They're doing something a little different with like nine string guitars and like dissonant sounds, and it's almost like Tony Danza meets Dillinger's Escape Plan. Um, I'm more of like the light. I don't catch myself listening to that much new stuff, but there's a band called Gunship. It's like synthwave slash
Oh
rock.
yeah.
I love that band. Um, and Knock Loose. I finally got used to the guy's voice. I can listen to it
Hell
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Love
did
Knock
too.
Loose.
Yep.
That's
I
awesome.
bounce back and forth, man. I can go from a band or group like Fanagram. If you guys are familiar, it's like an indie pop kind of dance. Or
Very cool.
uh, Sean turned me on to the latest Volumes album, which uh, Mike Terry is a monster of a vocalist. Fire from the Gods, right?
Yeah,
Early
yeah.
Bury or Dead. I love the stuff he did with Bury or Dead. Um,
Is it next?
yeah,
Is it
uh,
next week we have him on?
yeah. Little
Yeah, a little plug right there.
sneak peek. We're gonna have Mike Terry on the show coming
Very
up.
cool. That's awesome.
Yep. I've been I'm a huge Acacia Strain fan. Like 90% of anything personal related to me has 3750 somewhere in it, whether it's my email or so. People are always like, "What's that number?" I'm like, I can't get into explaining to you. You wouldn't
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
it.
That's funny.
Yeah. There was something else I had saw in the chat that I did want to I seen someone asking as far as if we stream everything too. Um, and I don't know if I took it a different way, but we do, we do the live stream, but and I think I've said to you, Joe, like this will go to our YouTube channel too within the next couple days too. So if you did miss half the show, you can go back and catch all the
Cool.
stuff maybe you missed. And we'll let you know, Joe, when that premieres as far as
Sounds good.
on
Yes.
the
Yes.
channel. But yeah, knocked loose. Yeah, I struggled at first. But you know what? I struggled back when like Converge and Daughters, like some of that stuff I remember. Uh, but now I love it, so
Yeah, Kevin
everything.
Kevin Otten plays our basses. He's a bass player in Knock Loose. So fun little tidbit there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, they're sick, and I was late to the game with them. Devin actually brought them up to me because I think Casey Strain was playing with them at some point, and Devin was playing our guitars, and Kevin was like, "Oh, those are sick. Like I've been following them for a while. I didn't realize you were working with them." And um, Joe or Devin was like, "Joe, you should check out Knock Loose." And I was like, "Okay, I've been hearing murmurings. I just never really checked them out." And oh boy, I was late to the game there, and I'm so glad that Devin told me about them because they're sick, and I feel like they're doing
Oh yeah, big
something
things.
different,
Yeah.
than a
Yeah,
lot of the bands in that sphere of influence. So
Yeah.
yeah. I think just like from a tone perspective with those guys, I can see why Devin would be super into them too, because it almost has a Doom vibe, like,
it's very
but it's
doomy. It's very
yeah, but the
sludgy,
music really
and
isn't though, it's
no, it's a cool mix of
yeah,
hardcore meets
yeah,
like almost 90s new metal riffage. It's very sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's I feel like, and we were talking with our last guest on the show, just on how much I feel like a metal is not just metal, but heavier music, I'm going to say, has grown, and there's such a community. Um, it's just endless, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like thriving more than I feel like it. Even back in like, we're from an era like the Poison the Well days, like uh, where when it all kind of started. I feel like as far as hardcore, metalcore, and but it's bigger than ever, and it's so great to see those
Yep.
bands come back too. Like Sean and I are big 18 Visions fans, and
Sure.
uh, to see those bands still out there just killing it, and yeah, I feel like I'm still 18 years old.
Oh yeah. No, it's I wholeheartedly agree, and it's been really cool to see a resurgence of not just bands like Poison the Well, but Seosin, or even we started working with Ryan from Yellow Card recently in the last couple years. and they came back. They were, they were apart for well over a decade, and their new album is super sick, and it's yeah, it's a cool time to be, you know, not only a younger generation just starting to like re I don't know, rediscover these types of bands in their like later years, but then go back and be like, oh wait, these bands were big 15, 20 years ago. And then
Right.
they rediscover all the older stuff. But it's also great for millennials to be like, man, all of my favorite bands are now back full swing, like doing cool shit.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep. And I think that's what's making it grow. It's situations like that.
Yep.
These big festivals where you catch, like you said, you catch Poison the Well on the bill, and they're like, who's this band? Never heard them before. And then you go back and you find out they were,
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
wild.
for sure. Well, any other questions from the audience? Take a couple more questions, and maybe Sean, you got anything you'd like to add in?
No, I think we made some really good ground, and no, I don't have anything else. If the audience want or the chat, whenever I say audience, I feel like I'm on like a talk show. Like, if the audience has any
Right.
more questions, please let
That
us
shows
know.
that shows my age, right? I said audience. Yeah, Joe, we appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to we try to keep the show versatile and have we had always said, like we wanted whatever your talent may be, whether you're a baton twirler, I really don't care. I'd love to hear your story. So to get a Luther like yourself, guitar company owner like yourself, and musician, or any type of artist, or talented person, it's nice to have people like you on, and we appreciate you making time for us.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the both of you inviting me on. It's been awesome, and love doing stuff like this, and appreciate what you both do with this as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for
Yep.
being
And
on.
just for for the audience, do you want to give just a couple plugs for people to buy themselves a new guitar or have one built, or
Sure. Yeah. So you can find us at balaguerguitars.com or any of the social media platforms out there. Um, Instagram, Balaguer Guitars, Facebook, Balaguer Guitars. You can also smoke signal us, or, go to one of our retailers. We have retailers in the US and Canada and different countries across the world. Go to our website, go to dealers, and it'll give you a little map of where you can, go try stuff out. But
awesome.
yeah, that's about it.
Well, thanks again, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
everybody that dropped in. We appreciate you having a listen, and we'll let everybody go for the night.
Yeah.
Have a great night, y'all. Take it easy. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.